So friends, hello everyone. This is the second video in the series on how to trade correctly on the Polymarket. What can we offer you, what secrets, what and how, so that you can earn steadily and with quality. Let's move on to our project. This will just take a minute, literally a general overview. So we have created a terminal for Polymarket called PolyMaker. I mainly trade manually in scalping mode, meaning you can start scalping directly from the order book, everything in detail. I'll show and explain everything later and so on, but that's not the topic of our video right now. We can also trade the spread directly within the order book. I'll explain and show all of that. We'll make a big video about it and so on. Furthermore, the primary highlight, the fundamental functionalities and primary tools we've successfully integrated into the platform are wallet search, the wallet scanner, and in-depth wallet analysis for all users. Based on this analysis, you can connect copy trading bots. We also have detailed market analysis as well as AI-powered market analysis and predictions. It tells you at what prices you should buy. So this is exactly the section that identifies inefficiencies in the markets. When the crowd in the market is thinking incorrectly, it also predicts for us what we should buy at those times. All of this will be covered in detail in other videos. Today, the topic of our video is wallet analysis. I am going to show you exactly how we go about searching for these wallets. In other words, we do not rely on any external third-party services at all. Instead, we have developed everything ourselves from the ground up. So let's try to find some interesting wallets together. We open Wallet Scanner, click on Edit Filters and enter the filters we need, as usual, and so on. I've never used any large panels, and that's not important to me for one simple reason. Because most often, the wallets that consistently trade profitably actually trade very little. After a month or a month and a half, the wallet is abandoned and moves on to another one. That's why you need to look specifically at active wallets. Specifically those that have been active for a month or a month and a half and show at least some stable performance on the panel. That's why I usually set the minimum panel at around 30,000. This is how much the panel grows per day. Well, let's say the minimum is, for example, $500. Set it for a week, a month, skip that. This is a very important metric. This is the linearity of the panel, meaning we don't need wallets that, look like this. That is, first it made a profit, then dropped to zero, then up again like that. What we need is a very clear linear line. For example, like here. We really need to look for wallets like these, which have absolutely no sharp drops or sudden volatility and so on. If you choose to carefully copy these specific kinds of wallets, you will find that they won't eat up your balance or deplete your funds. That's why we set linearity. Even OBHR set it at 0.8 and so on. As for how much the panel is to the volume, I usually skip that. Here is the most important thing, that is registration. How fresh is the wallet? Let's set the registration date from May 1st. Win rate? Set a minimum of 60% for total positions. Here you can choose the minimum and maximum. This way you'll filter out wallets that trade too much and you'll be able to search for the right ones. If it's an insider with wallets that trade infrequently, then you need to filter by positions here. Let's set a minimum of 5 active positions. You can actually leave it unset. How many trades per day? Let's skip that. How many on average? What's the average trade? This is important too. If it's an insider, they're most likely betting very large amounts. So in principle, we can set the minimum average trade. Let's make it at least 500. We are not just looking at the last trade category. Instead, let's go ahead and select every single available category. Except probably we will want to remove crypto from the list. This is because those who trade in crypto, in 90% of cases, if it's not a stable or consistent panel, it is usually just arbitrage bots. And it is highly unlikely that you will ever be able to manually replicate their trades. Now, looking at the active drawdown and then the max drawdown, yes, that specifically shows us exactly how much his maximum drawdown actually was during that period. Well, let's not use this filter for now. How long, on average, does he hold a position? This is also an important metric in the sense that if a whale enters a position and holds it for weeks, it's very hard to follow him because he might open dozens more positions during that week. And for you to copy him, you need money. You need the money that's tied up in the trades you've opened and are holding. It's frozen. So how many purchases does he make per position? Well, for the time being, let's just go ahead and leave everything exactly as they are. For now, we have successfully finished selecting all of our specific trades, so let's go ahead and save them for the moment. So that we can use them later on. Here they all are, all our filters. Now we just press Start Scan. After that, this process might take some time. It all depends on which filters you specified. It could take anywhere from 20 minutes, maybe an hour, or even as long as 3 full hours for it to run through completely. There are a vast number of different options and variables to consider, so it takes a long time to search and calculate everything. Because of this, you can just safely close out of this window if you want to while it finishes. As you can see, we have an indicator showing that the search is in progress, so you can safely close it. The search will keep running. At a later point in time, you can come back here to review and analyze all of the generated results, and then proceed with your other important tasks like manual trading and various other activities. For now, in order to ensure that I do not take up too much of your time or cause this video to become too lengthy, I will switch over for just a short while, and will come back when the results are ready. So, the process of scanning wallets is underway. Let me quickly show you something. So, what is it? There are 18,234 candidates. More precisely, that's the total number according to the required filters. Out of those, 1,954 are candidates. Here they are, these thousands. It's currently analyzing 130 and has already analyzed some but hasn't found anything yet. We will wait patiently and we'll come back when everything is completely ready for us. So, the analysis, or rather the volley scanner, has finished working. Let's see what we've got. So, in a period of nearly 40 minutes, it thoroughly searched through the data and successfully identified 6 wallets that appear to be suitable for our needs. Now, let's take a moment to analyze them. No? To start off, we are going to do it just like this. Let's add them to my walls. It already says that I have some of them in my list. Okay. And for anything that isn't there, we simply add it in. We've added everything now, so we can close this window and navigate over to open my walls. So the ones highlighted clearly in blue are those I had already added previously. Here are our new wallets, the ones it found and the ones we're going to analyze now. We can simply click on the button labeled Refresh Data to immediately and efficiently update the panel now and get all of the most up-to-date information available. We see some pretty good wallets actually. Look, here's the overall panel for the month. It's very up to date. There's also data for the week, for 3 days, for a day, so you can see the dynamics. You can see right now. Let's take a close look at the impressive linearity of this panel. See how perfectly even and smooth it is. Now, let's say a few more words about this My Walls page. This section is basically a comprehensive table containing all of your saved wallets, ensuring that you don't ever lose them. In this section, you can manually refresh the entire dashboard panel, carefully examine the overall linearity of the data, see the exact number of days that have passed since the wallet was first registered, and check the total count of currently active open trades, just as you can see right here. Look, there are 500 open trades max, and if we link a bot to a wallet, it will also be shown here. We have it marked here that one bot is linked to this wallet. Next, after you've reviewed the wallet, you can check the Watch It box here. This way you'll know you've already looked at it, so you won't confuse it with new ones or those you already have. Also, once you've analyzed it, you can mark it as empty. You can also immediately assign a verdict to this wallet so that later you can quickly spot it visually, because you might have a lot of them here, and visually you can quickly pick out, for example, excellent, that's great. and we set a note like this, a modal window opens and you can enter a note here, whatever you want. After the analysis, for example, you analyzed the wallet, noted certain patterns, triggers, and so on, and saved it for future reference. Alright, now let's move on to analyzing these wallets. Let's take a look. We click this Analyze button and it opens up in the wallet analysis. We click on this wallet. First, let's look at the preview to see what we have here. So, this wallet is only 20 days old. In 20 days, it has already made 581 transactions. 26 in a day, 64 in 3 days, 165 in a week, and 580 in a month. Here is its chart. Yes, there was a spike to 315, then down to 156. That's a very sharp drop. So here it is. When there are moments like this, it's bad because you might start copying it. And literally, in just one day, it could wipe out your entire deposit. That's why you either need to have a large deposit so you can ride out the drop and so on. Alright, let's see what we have here. Mainly, there are a lot of different markets and temperatures. Alright, that's it. Let's go ahead and analyze. Most likely there are a lot of positions, so let's not click on full history right away, otherwise we'll be waiting for a long time. Let's look at the last day, click on it, let it load for now, and in the meantime, we'll move on. Let's check out some other wallets. So let's take a look at this wallet as well, up to 73.2. This wallet is only 27 days old, and in those 27 days it earned $70,000, 7 or 8 in a week, in 3 days, in a day. Let's analyze this one as well. Let's also do a quick preview first. What can we say about it as well, right? 500 open market, something like that, that's a lot. So looking at the full 27-day period, we can see the details on this chart panel. It's really very similar to that other wallet, in my opinion. These are two wallets that are operated by the same whale, yes, 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 and they work using almost the same strategy, very similar. There was a drop on June 4th over there, and here there's the same kind of drop. Let's take a look, yes, 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 and if you look at the market, it's pretty much the same, right? Let's also check the last day. There, it's loaded for us now. Look at this wallet. Let's also check what's happening on Polymarket while we're at it. Here it is, Polymarket. Well, a lot of people are watching this one actually. But using our wallet analyzer, I found dozens of wallets where there are literally 0 views here at all. 0. No one is tracking it, but we were able to find it. I'll definitely show you wallets like that as well. So look, on the one hand, yes, his overall win rate is actually incredibly high. He has a lot of winning positions. A total of 152 and only 13 losses. But when you look at it from another perspective, his volume win rate is considerably lower than you might expect. So we'll figure out why that is right now. Most likely it's because he has a lot of trades within a range. Now it all makes sense. Most of his trades are in the 0.9 to 1 range. In other words, he's basically taking markets that have already been decided, where the probability of a winning outcome is already very high. Yes, he buys them, which is why there aren't that many winning positions. So again, this is why if you look at other services, they'll only show you this one metric on the leaderboard, and everyone jumps on it and rushes in. But in reality, he's actually earning 0.707. And here, yes, he got a lot of positions, but you'll see all of this now. You're about to see it. Let's take a look at what we were looking at. How much do we have for the last day? Let's check for the entire history. Let's order it and look at the whole history. It's the same thing I told you. These wallets, these are two wallets from the same person, exactly identical. All the patterns match. It's the same. 92, a huge win rate. At the same time, this is the real win rate. This is the win rate in terms of money. How much money he actually earns. Yes, we see the same thing. That's how they earn. Basically, in this range, he buys into almost guaranteed winning markets. Alright, let's look at the whole history as well. It's loading. Yes, while it's loading. Look here, yes, you can place an order. You just click on Fluhistar. While all the trades are loading, this can take some time. How long it takes depends on the wallet. If there are few trades in the wallet, it's fast. If there are a lot of trades, it takes a long time, but in any case, you can close it all, nothing will be lost. Right here, you can see 4 different digital wallets currently being analyzed. However, you can actually engage in various other activities in the meantime, such as executing a new trade, or perhaps checking out what is happening in other financial markets. We'll make a separate video about the interface, but in general, I really like how convenient we made it. You can scroll quickly. Viewing all markets is loading. At the same time, you have a window with your active market that you're monitoring on if needed. This way you can open this market to full screen. Here you have 2 order books, but you can switch to a single order book, collapse the chart to get a larger order book, and so on. Right here you can view your portfolio, see all your trades in the portfolio, check open orders, and so on and so forth. But all of this will be covered in detail for an hour. It would probably take a whole video to cover everything here. So the interface and all that isn't really the topic of today's video. Alright, let's come back here. Some things are still in progress, so for now we'll skip this. We'll return when everything has finished loading, and then we'll continue analyzing. Everything has finished loading now. Let's take a look. So here we have one wallet and a second wallet. Alright, let's see. 1.96 win rate 56.7, 2.86 win rate 7.59. Now look, why only? On our service you'll really be able to understand. I will check now, but I can already see that you absolutely shouldn't copy this. So you'll just lose your money here and your day will be wasted. Market analytics. They would have shown you this and you would have rushed off to copy it. And we would have just sat there, really. Here, look at how much he earns. 0.9% of the total daily volume he runs through. But look at how many... There are 124,000 trades per day. This is such a high frequency bot that it's practically impossible to copy it. 1-to-1, or even proportionally, to get the same results. Let's take a look at the results right away. Let's go to the trades. Just imagine this for a moment. In only 17 short days since May 29th, he has successfully managed to close out 7,500 different positions. Let's take a look. So Moscow, what's up? There are no clear patterns here. There's a huge loss here, a gain here, and a gain here. Look at how many of his positions are in small price ranges. It's a huge number. Now take a closer look at the win rate by reason, which essentially means these are the specific markets. How they ended, the win rate turned out to be high. But this can now easily be explained by the fact that you'll see he enters everywhere. He enters every market. The amount he enters with, you see, they're already closer. 97.7, you see. So basically he enters markets that are already predetermined. And he has a lot of them. Yeah, that's right. You can see it mostly from the win rate, from the reason that 93% of all the trades he enters, they're profitable. But because he earns very little on each trade, at the same time a single trade, if he has one losing trade, it basically wipes out all his earnings. For example, he might have made 87 trades with some good ones, 388, 329, 70 at home, but then one losing trade, bam, and it takes away a bunch of the profits. Although, well, let's say If we, for example, want to copy a trade for the sum of $10,000 with a consistently good win rate in this particular sense, he cut it. But again, which trades is he entering? 0.99 and 4. 0.997, 0.982, and then one trade of his immediately takes 10,000, which will happen anyway, even if you enter at 0.92. Well, what is that? At 0.9999. He entered, he invested $11,000 and earned $13. Well, overall, it's not that great. I would ignore such a wallet because, it looks like we're watching it. We can copy from 10,000, but if we copy 10,000, we'll catch all of these. But here, look, you see what a huge loss there is? Even though he's making 69, 65, even here, $2,000 just by entering at 0.99 and 9. And then, bam, 2 trades, and he loses $100,000. And here, 86 are gone, 63 are gone. So you understand, right, that you can make money with this strategy, but you need to run just a colossal amount of money through it. Absolutely colossal. And it's impossible to replicate every single one of his trades. That's why I skip wallets like these. This is why you need to use this kind of analysis, deep trade analysis, so you don't get caught. Because all of you who have had a negative experience with copying, you only got hooked by this. By the P&L, and by this. And off you went. But in reality, you'll lose on this. Let's look at the second one. I'm 100% sure it's the same person, just bought 2. A newer bot, also showing a huge win of 96, while the other one had 6 or 7 earned, the same thing. Colossal activity. You see how many closed positions there are. Look, 17 closed positions in total here in 27 days. But you won't be able to copy him. Just ignore everything. You can't copy the huge number of different markets he's involved in. Let's look at the trades. It's the same complete mess here. He made most of his profit in trades on Lenta, 9,754 closed positions from 0 to 10. For example, his win rate was 96.5%, meaning these are the markets he entered. Out of those, 28 markets ended up closing. These were the winning markets, and only 1 market lost. But at the same time, he had a colossal loss in terms of volume. Yes, his win rate by volume is only 38%. Why? Because those 28 trades that closed in profit brought in so little that one trade, just that one, ate up all the profit and pushed everything into the red. And why is that? Because all his trades, here again, look, everything is green, all green, 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 because they're like 0.970, 0.96, and 8. Well, obviously he's making just pennies everywhere, pennies, 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 then bam, one trade took everything and drove it into the red. And if you try to copy this wallet, you won't even be able to do that much, but you will. Yes, you can also make money on these trades, but because of slippage, you won't make 730 on this trade, because he entered the position at 89.5. But if you copy using a $5,000 trigger, you'll enter here when the price is already 90, while he got in at 89.5, so your average is already 90. But you won't be able to buy at that price, there will be slippage. Look, for example, at 1738.34, the price was 0.90. Yes, if you enter with a market order, you'll end up buying at the next price, which is 0.92, and so on. So even in profitable trades, considering that they yield very little, even that tiny profit will be even smaller, but your loss will remain exactly the same. That's it, so your panel will be even worse. And he only makes 6% thanks to his panel. But since your panel will be worse, you won't get those 6%. In the end, you'll be in the red. That's why we skip all of this. it's immediately clear why you need to use this kind of analysis. Here you go. You saw that we shouldn't copy this, although let's take a look at this wallet on the marketplace. Here it is, it only has 181 views. Alright then, let's take a closer look at what else we managed to find over there. So let's go ahead and mark this one down. Yes, we looked at these manually, we marked them, select the ones that are very bad, and don't come back to them. Let's take a look at this wallet. 74 for the month, 41, 1,575 with dynamics. We have only 34 days of open positions, 0. Let's carefully analyze it. First, let's do a very quick and detailed review of the recent performance. So here it's looking okay. Look, we had a significant and quite sharp upward jump on the 17th. And then, without any serious or unexpected drawdowns, we had a consistent and steady increase in the overall value. Now, before we move on, let's check the current state of the market. And judging by the market, by the last 50 trades, this is the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. Let's look at his full history. So it's loaded. Let's take a look. Now this is already more interesting. Yes, this is what we found from our latest search. Look, here we already have the win rate by volume, and most importantly, the win rate itself. How much money is being made. Now this is interesting. Look, yes, and this win rate, which is also good in terms of quantity, is a very linear panel. Let's look at the chart now. The number of positions is small, not very large, and the hedge is also small. The chart, we've already seen it, right? Okay, let's move on. So, the distribution, it's normal. Let's take a look. As you can see, for the most part, this is looking at the entire period. The wallet has been active for only 34 days in total over the whole period. He earned 43,000 with a single outcome, and his hedge was 32,000. He took 2 outcomes on one. And on the same market, let's look at the closed positions. Take a look here. Basically, in every single area where he manages to generate a good profit, his overall win rate by result is consistently good everywhere. Let's go over it again to make it clear. There are 3 distinct win rates to consider: the win rate by number, the win rate by volume, and the win rate by result. Let me open it up to explain in more detail what the win rate by result is. Look, it's this column here, result of prizes. That is to say, a whale can enter a trade in the market, and in the end, this market might turn out to be a loss. In the end, he didn't guess right where he entered. In the end, this market might close at break even, but he can still make a profit in this market. I'll show you an example myself. So look here, he entered the market, right, which ended up closing at a loss. He entered at 0.69 and sold at 0.8, and as a result, here's his status. He made a profit. So everything he won, or rather everything he earned, is just regular win rate. Here, for example, a trade, he won, lost, the same thing. He can also lose in a market that actually closed at a profit. I'll call this win rate, this column here. Basically, it's how it closed. It doesn't matter whether he exited the market he entered or not, and so on. This is also a very good metric, and we've found a lot of whales like this here. They might not earn very well, but their actual rate of guessing right is very high, win rate. And you don't necessarily have to copy their trades, not their trades themselves, but simply follow them into those markets where they have a good win rate according to the resolution. So, to clarify, win rate usually means whether they made money or not in that market. It doesn't matter if they bought and sold and so on. That's the win rate in question. I've explained what win rate means. In terms of volume, basically it's about whether they made money or not, so it's specifically about the money, because you can have, as I already mentioned, you can have a large number of trades with a positive win rate, but each individual trade brings in very little. And then have just one losing trade that wipes out all the profit and even pushes the account into the red. So, when it comes to volume, this is the most important metric. It's the win rate by volume. This is exactly what determines whether he is making money and whether you will be able to make money. And so the basic win rate isn't as important, generating volume is what matters most. All right, let's take a look at his trades. So he does geopolitics, sports. He has a lot of different markets. Here he is. And computer games and politics and so on. But here, I don't really see any clear distribution or any kind of correlation. It's random here. Same thing here, there's no clear distribution. In all price ranges, specifically by average price, his results are all over the place. So let's look at the actual trades. Let's see how exactly he makes money. So here we can clearly see that he doesn't just sit and wait. Even if we look at this metric here. This one, how he closes his positions. We can see here that 88% of all his sales, the closing of his markets, his positions are specifically limit sales, and another 1% are market sales. Very few of his positions are closed by expiration, meaning he doesn't wait for the market to end. He sells. This is his strategy. There are whales who only wait for the market to end. They enter and wait. There are whales who only sell. This one only sells. Now, let's look at the trades. It's important for us to understand whether we can accurately follow his actions. The win rate is good, the panel is good. Accordingly, in order for us to make money with this whale, we need to copy and match his prices at the same prices as his, both when buying and selling. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Here's where the difficulty lies, at least in this market as I see it. Look. Do you see how quickly the price changed? The price was 0.63, 0.149, and it immediately jumped to 0.9. This shows that the market was extremely volatile, and it's unlikely we'll be able to get such an average price. Maybe that was just one such market? Let's look at others. Yes. Here it's at 0.9, but here we could have bought. We could have bought even better here. But you see how volatile the market is. At the same time, the price was 0.9, then it dropped to 0.72. So it's not really clear here. For now, we're only looking at purchases at 0.59. That's how we would have done it. Then if you take a look at the price movement at the 19-second mark, and then just 2 seconds later, look, you can see it was sitting at 50. Then 2 seconds later, it jumped to 56. And then it stayed right there at 56 once again. You have to try. It's still unclear. Here, after an hour, the price changed. Ideally, these are the kinds of markets where, after the trigger price, the price would stay in that range for at least some time. Or at least, if it did change, there would be good long intervals between price changes, not just 1 to 2 seconds. When you see that the price is already drastically different after just 1 to 2 seconds, there's no point in trying to repeat such trades, because you simply won't be able to get those prices. But here its big advantage is that it doesn't build a position with dozens of huge trades. It takes just one. That's already a good thing. So if we repeat, let's say at 0.40, we repeated it, and as you can see, then the price is 0.52. Only after about an hour, hypothetically, if we had placed a limit order at 0.40, most likely it would have been filled. So basically here too, you see, he entered at 0.5 to 0.7, 0.65. Only after an hour and a half, the price is already 0.90. Yes, this is a good option for repeating. Good. Moreover, you see he has. Here we can choose two strategies for copying. We can follow him exactly. Specifically, we try to buy at his price, give or take, and then sell the same way. Our copy bot sells just like he does. It allows you to configure everything, how you buy and how you sell, all of that. We will go over this in detail in the next video. This is one strategy. Trying to copy him completely, buying, selling, and so on. Yes, there is another strategy. Look, if we check his win rate by reason, well, in every price range, in principle, he has a good win rate by reason, with the lowest being 66%. This means that, in principle, we don't have to try to copy him, we don't have to try to sell when he does. Although, yes, if we do sell when he does, his win rate by total volume is even better, even higher. But here there's a risk that we simply might not get the same prices. That is, we might end up buying at a worse price and selling at a worse price. In other words, buying higher and selling lower. And then this volume win rate will be worse for us. So here we can just make things simpler. We can quite easily take and directly replicate the whale's trades, but enter with a specific and predetermined fixed volume just into the exact markets he enters. This is because we can clearly observe that in the range from 500 to 1000, 70% of the markets he entered ended up closing with modest single-digit percentage wins. So we just don't sell, we simply catch the whale's trade. And once we've caught the whale's trade, we just enter it with some fixed amount, say $100, and wait for the result. For example, we caught the trade by a trigger, set our trigger. There, starting from $500, we set up 3 trades from $500 or by accumulating. That is, our bot calculated all previous trades. So it will calculate this, and on this trade, it will give a signal that an accumulation of $500 has occurred. And we move on. We don't have to repeat his further purchases or sell anything. We just work according to this. We split it into 3 calls: bought for 100, waited, made a profit; bought for another 100, waited, made a profit; bought for another 100, lost 100. And in the end, it turns out that about 70% of our trades will be profitable. And if we enter each trade with the same amount, then in fact we can make very good money here. In short, this particular option is actually very good for copying his trades. We will save 2 distinct strategy options for you to consider. The first is to sell and buy, or you can simply choose to enter the market exactly as he does. This is because, once again, his overall win rate is very good, and his specific win rate when measured by volume is even better than that. That's if you completely copy him, buying and selling after him, just trying to match his prices. I'll explain how to do this in the next video. So let's put a little mark for him right over here. Now let's go ahead and put a good tag on this one. Everything is saved. Let's take another look at this one. We've pumped it up. Let's also quickly check the preview for this one. Out of 20 open positions. And that is actually quite a decent winning percentage. This one is also exclusively ours. Quite a lot. He opens a lot of trades. Well, alright, let's not look at him this time. We'll check another time. So that's it. I think everything is clear now. I showed you how, using our service, we primarily use the scanner, we look for wallets, and then most importantly, how we analyze them. You saw an example of how the analysis works. Indeed, this is the quality of wallet and transaction analysis, how it reveals all the transactions and how we understand them, how much you shouldn't trust superficial numbers like win rate and P&L figures. So what more can I really say about it? Just head over to our main terminal right now, give it a try for yourself, and then go ahead and register your account today. Simply go ahead and register for an account. It is a very quick and simple process. Once you have finished registering, all of these comprehensive services will be made fully available to you. You can take advantage of a free trial period to get started, or if you prefer, you can choose to subscribe for a specific number of detailed analyses, deep searches, and accurate prediction marks. With a more expensive subscription, you can get unlimited access to all these services. That's it. That's enough for now. All right, the video is already very long, so let's continue in the next video. Next time, we'll take specific wallets, connect them to the copy bot, and start actually trading and copying deals. That's all for now. Goodbye, everyone.